Lake Michigan, with its more than 58,000 square kilometers, is both a vital force and an implacable grave. Its imposing and treacherous waters have guarded for almost a century and a half, a secret that seemed sealed for eternity. However, the unwavering persistence of humanity, armed with 21st-century technology, has achieved what generations of seekers considered an unattainable dream: the location of the remains of the F.J. King. This legendary wooden sailboat, victim of a shipwreck in 1886, has finally been found by researchers from the Wisconsin Underwater Archaeology Association, UUAA, marking a milestone in the maritime history of the Great Lakes. This discovery transcends the simple finding of wood and iron corroded by time. It is the resolution of a 140-year enigma that fed local legends, drove intrepid wreck hunters, and left an indelible mark on the collective memory of coastal communities. Leave your like, subscribe, and share. Let us begin. To calibrate the true importance of the F.J. King, it is necessary to travel back to 1867, the year its solid frames were assembled. In that period, the Great Lakes functioned as the essential logistical arteries of a nation in full industrial boom and expansion. The F.J. King, a formidable sailboat of 44 meters in length, almost the length of a small soccer field, quickly became a crucial cog in this economic machinery. During 19 years of active service, the vessel operated with great success in translake trade, mobilizing the pillars of the American industry of the era. Wisconsin in those days was revered as the granary of the United States, and ships like the King were responsible for transporting the enormous grain harvests that sustained the thriving cities of the East and Midwest. But its holds were not limited to wheat. The sailboat also carried iron ore, essential for the growing steel industry, wood from the vast northern forests, and a miscellany of essential products for the 19th century infrastructure. It was, in essence, an aquatic workhorse, a floating symbol of the prosperity and commercial effort of the era. The run of good fortune of the F.J. King was abruptly cut short in September of 1886. During a crossing that promised nothing more than routine, a storm of unusual ferocity descended upon Lake Michigan in the darkness of night. Under the sustained pressure of hurricane winds and the constant assault of massive waves, the wooden hull of the King, already with almost 2 decades of navigation, could not bear the punishment any longer. The seams of the ship gave way, and the cold Michigan began to flood its compartments relentlessly. Captain William Griffin, facing the chaos and conscious that the battle against the lake was irretrievably lost, executed the immediate evacuation order. From the small auxiliary boat, the terrified and helpless crew watched as their vessel, their floating home and source of livelihood, sank bow first, disappearing with a final sigh into the abysmal darkness. Fortunately, there was no loss of life, but the King was gone. What happened in the weeks and months following the sinking is what catapulted the F.J. King from the status of shipwreck to the category of legend. Weeks after the disaster, a lighthouse keeper, a crucial figure in coastal surveillance, reported having seen something spectral and disturbing. The masts of the ship were still protruding above the surface, like wooden fingers rising from the bottom to point out the tragedy. Even local fishermen confirmed that their nets got caught on the remains or parts of the superstructure of the wreck. Despite these clear initial visual signs, Lake Michigan, jealous, decided to claim the ship completely. With the inexorable passage of time, the masts broke or were dragged by currents until they definitively sank, and the exact location of the King was lost to memory. For the following 120 years, the ship earned the nickname Ghost Ship due to its elusive nature. Numerous wreck hunters dedicated decades to tracking the vessel, based on the original and often vague reports of Captain Griffin. But Michigan is a master at concealing its treasures. The King seemed to have vanished completely, becoming the quintessential nautical myth of the coastal communities of Wisconsin. The fascination with finding it reached such a point that approximately 20 years ago, the Neptune's Dive Club in Green Bay offered a reward of $1,000 for any clue or information that would lead to its whereabouts. The mystery, however, remained intact, defying all who tried to unravel it, until one man decided to radically change the search strategy. Maritime historian Brendan Ballard, a key figure as principal researcher and current president of the Wisconsin Underwater Archaeology Association, personally became involved in the King enigma 2 decades ago. His ultimate success did not come from brute force, from tracking kilometers of lake at random, or from state-of-the-art sonar equipment, at least not at first, but from a methodical and meticulous archival investigation. Ballard discovered the missing evidence that had eluded all previous seekers. While meticulously reviewing records from the era, he found a crucial newspaper article published just 1 week after the sinking. It detailed the testimony of William Sanderson, the keeper of a local lighthouse. Unlike Captain Griffin, whose attention was focused exclusively on the survival of his crew amid the chaos of the storm, the lighthouse keeper, from the relative calm of his position on land, had the perspective and composure needed to notice and record the approximate location where the masts protruded from the surface. This information, dismissed or lost in the past, was the Holy Grail. Leave your like, subscribe, and share. With this forgotten testimony in hand, Bayard was able to draw a precise search quadrant, an area of only 5.2 square kilometers off the coast of Bailey's Harbor. It was a tiny area compared to the vastness of the lake, but still represented an enormous exploration challenge due to the considerable depths and the complexity of the underwater terrain. On June 28th of this year, the expedition moved from the research phase to active exploration. Bayard's team was remarkably diverse. It was not composed solely of academics and professionals, but of about 20 citizen scientists, passionate volunteers who dedicated their time, effort, and often their own resources to solving the historical enigma. Using lateral scan sonar technology, an advanced system capable of generating detailed images of the lakebed, the team began to methodically comb the quadrant defined by Bayard. The surprise they experienced was immense. They did not expect to find the legendary shipwreck immediately, but on the second pass through the most probable zone, a clear and perfectly defined image appeared on the sonar monitors. There it was, a hull that, according to reports, looked remarkably intact and rested on the bottom. The find was located less than 0.8 kilometers, half a mile, from the point that the lighthouse keeper, Sanderson, had indicated more than a century ago. For irrefutable confirmation of the vessel's identity, the team proceeded to deploy 2 remotely operated vehicles, ROVs. These autonomous underwater robots descended to depths ranging between 36.5 and 50 meters. The high-definition images captured by the ROVs confirmed without a doubt what everyone had hoped. They had found the FJ King. The ship was preserved in an astonishing manner, a pristine wooden time capsule that had not been seen by human eyes, apart from its sinking crew since that fateful September of 1886. The rediscovery of the FJ King should not be seen as an isolated event, but as part of a broader trend that experts have dubbed the golden age of shipwreck discoveries in the Great Lakes. Several crucial factors have converged to make this the optimal moment for underwater archaeology. Ironically, an invasive species has proven to be a blessing for archaeologists. Quagga mussels, introduced in the 1990s, have filtered the lake water with such efficiency that visibility has increased dramatically. Visibility that was once just a few meters can now reach almost 30 meters. This change allows shipwrecks at moderate depths to be visible even from the surface, which has generated greater awareness among people who practice paddleboarding or kayaking. Furthermore, the cost of technology has plummeted. In the 1980s, a high-quality lateral sonar could cost around US $100,000. Today, superior, more compact, and easier-to-operate equipment can be purchased for just over $1,000, democratizing exploration and allowing citizen science organizations and dive clubs to conduct high-quality explorations with limited budgets. Finally, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, is engaged in a monumental project to map the bottom of the Great Lakes in high resolution, with the goal of finishing by 2030. This mapping promises to be the catalyst that reveals the hundreds of ships yet to be found. Experts like Rick Mixter, a respected researcher and author specializing in the history of shipwrecks, emphasize that the incalculable value of the F.J. King lies in its extraordinary state of preservation. Being intact and being preserved in cold waters that act as a natural refrigerator, the wreck offers a wealth of technical details and everyday life of 19th-century navigation that cannot be obtained from written records. It is a tangible window to the past. However, Mixter highlights something even more transcendental: the human factor. The fact of involving novice explorers and ordinary citizens in these search missions creates a deep emotional connection with history. The work of the WUAE is not only about recovering an old wooden vessel, but about honoring the memory of sailors like Captain Griffin, closing a cycle of mystery and understanding the sacrifices and the incessant commercial effort that built the infrastructure of the country. Lake Michigan remains a vast and silent cemetery of commercial vessels. The total number of shipwrecks on the Great Lakes bed is estimated at around 6,000 vessels, with more than 200 shipwrecks still pending discovery in Michigan alone. The resounding success of Brendan Baylaud's team has not only resolved a century-old enigma, but has injected a new wave of energy and optimism into the entire scientific community, historians and maritime history enthusiasts. The F.J. King is no longer a ghost ship. It has transitioned from legend to tangible reality, serving as a powerful reminder that the secrets of the past wait patiently down there, often in plain sight, waiting for the right combination of diligence in historical research and modern technology to bring them back to the light of the present. As long as Baylaud's database continues to grow and citizen scientists continue to scrutinize the bottom, Michigan will continue to reveal its stories one ship at a time. Leave your like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.